Critical thinking is kind of the soul of art. You have an idea, and then you have to resolve how you're going to present that idea.
The arts not only link literacy, they develop it. The following segments highlight 3 of the 6 funded artist residencies for the 2013-14 school year and provide a great look into the students' learning experiences.
In first grade, one of our science units is states of matter. So water was the perfect unit to use in states of matter. So as an artist, they're looking at the light interacting with the water, but then as scientists, they're also looking at the different states of matter. We started out, Mike came in, did an introduction of what a professional photographer is, and he showed us some of his work, and then he did his second lesson with us was on how to observe. And so he taught them how to look at framing a photograph and what you're looking at and being able to isolate something that you do want to capture. And then the third lesson he did with them was taking them out into the field and actually looking for water in the different states of matter.
One time we took a picture of the cloud, because the cloud is just a gas that turns into a water.
With photography, we're also talking about the art of photography, composition, storytelling. So they were also working on, besides documenting water in its various forms, they were kind of telling a story of water as well. And then they would write in their journals about their experience that they had that particular day with that particular project. So it's kind of circular, connecting, the learning, the doing, and then the reflecting on the doing.
Well, as an administrator, this is why I live here, because it is the epitome of great learning. Students have an opportunity to engage with an artist, learn how an artist thinks, but also they can engage the curriculum in a whole different way. So it gives the teacher more tools to teach with, but it also engages them in different ways. It helps them with the feeling part of learning, which I think we tend to forget. And so it just makes it more meaningful and engaging. Students are engaged because they're doing something hands-on and it's really relevant. So we see growth this way. I mean, this is the whole mission of our school, is arts integration, so it's a natural for us.
Our project was The Courage to Create. Troy Passy, my artist in residence, and I designed it to support my first quarter ELA standards-based unit called The Courage to Be Me. So we worked together to talk about how can we create the courage an artist needs to create with the courage to be yourself. So I agreed to introduce what courage was and to have them have some experiences with courage, and also introduce an artist, an Idaho artist named James Castle, who inspired Troy Passy.
We started talking about James Castle, and we kind of got to the point where we're like, okay, let's see how we can be courageous with our artwork. And so Troy came in and explained, because he knows a lot about James Castle. So he explained to us what James Castle did in his artwork and how he did it and how he made it and what supplies he used.
He was born profoundly deaf, and the thing about James Castle is all he wanted to do his whole life was draw and make art. And he would use, we call it recycled material, but he would just get paper out of the garbage or steal his sister's homework and draw on it. And he didn't have access to fine art material, so he just made his own. And he would take soot and mix it with spit and sharpen a stick and use that to draw. And he actually became very adept at drawing. And the students made a small, we call it a construction, a small sculpture using recycled material. And these were sort of a personal symbol for the students, a response they have to courage or a message that they would like to convey.
I sort of know what courage is by my mom had cancer before, and so I just wanted to put a rope or something that helps you climb up of what helps you through. I felt that I needed to put something important that sort of details what my mom had, because she helped me through a lot.
Usually I think that courage comes from the heart. You just have to go through it, and it just explodes and impacts everyone around you.
When people work together, then we can really be courageous and pretty much unstoppable. And so I symbolize that by kind of stitching all of their constructions together.
They really understood courage at a very deep level because they had to dig deep to figure out how they were going to symbolize that. They all grew tremendously through that experience and came together as a group.
Printmaking is very process-driven. You have to start with a plate, which is what you will be printing on. It could be a piece of copper that you incise and draw lines in it. It could be a piece of linoleum that you carve out, or a piece of wood that you carve, and then you put ink on top of that and run it through a press with a piece of paper on top. There's magic when you pull the paper off the plate, because you're never really quite sure how it's going to print.
We went to Aninac Studio and we made our prints. I did an angelfish because my class was doing the ocean. After the field trip, we made murals, and we each got to make our own animal. Like Autumn did an angelfish, and I did a plant called a crab claw. And we put them on a piece of fabric, and we hung them up in the hallways.
But our big idea was that animals live in cycles, and there's repetition in nature. And so the same thing about printmaking. Printmaking is a process, it's a cycle of going through, and it's also about mark making. So animals make marks with their tracks, and artists make marks with the prints.
It was like dropping a stone in a pond. The ripples have continued all year. While we may not have made printmaking each time we approach a new habitat, they still take on an animal and there's some kind of art project attached to it. And then we can discuss the printmaking. How is this alike? How is this different? And they still have that same connection because of the art.
When you integrate the curriculum piece, that's where the teachers are real powerful. That's where I let them take the lead, take all those different ideas and see what can we do. So here on this particular project, we're able to use a lot of the language arts piece as well as science and science background and develop a project where we could have the art project infused.
We're problem solvers as artists. And oftentimes in school, kids are given a right or a wrong answer. And with art, they get to find the gray areas and they get to come up with their own ideas to express it. And so it becomes totally their own, and then they own it. You know, they own it, and so they're proud to be able to present it. And if they see the owl with the biggest face, well, that's how they see it. And why would we want to stop their imagination? This is the chance. This is the chance they get to let their imagination tell a story.
I made a porcupine because some people think that porcupines just are really mean because they poke you with their spikes. But I wanted to show them that that's not actually how porcupines are.
I don't think that you're truly learning unless you're incorporating some kind of art, because it pulls your whole brain, your whole way of thinking in. It's not just purely cognitive. You are creating something. You are tying that knowledge that you are learning to the creation of something physical, something substantial, and every time you look at it, it sparks that cognitive information that you had pulled together while you were doing that. Knowing how to use your hands, knowing how to create, it's another way to prepare them for the world. And they need it. It's not just something that would be great for them to have, they need it. It is mandatory if they want to be as successful as they can be. And we want them to be that successful.
Art experiences can provide a wonderful venue to nurture literacy development. Experiences in creating images can heighten awareness, facilitate word comprehension, and foster the development of reading and writing skills. We invite you to broaden the interconnectedness of visual arts, drama, dance, and the written word by planning an artist in residency project in your school by writing an application for a 2014-15 grant. Visit the Arts Powered Schools website for details and be sure to check out all of the 2013-14 residencies while you're there.